Awesome. Let's give it to about, I don't know, close to 2:05. We had what, 70 some odd registrations and 20 some odd folks on the call.
Yeah.
So let's give it a few more minutes. We're going to package up, Chantha, the folks who want to do it through, I guess, your link and send it to
Okay.
someone. Yeah.
Perfect. I wasn't sure if Ron had a
Ron gave
link
us
or not.
it was an email, so we'll send it to someone over there. But
Perfect.
I'll let folks know that it's going to be a month or so before that all happens because I think we still have the 50 person cap, 50 license cap
Hmm.
until the new contract is, I guess, done.
Gotcha. Should put a disclaimer. Get to the club early.
Yeah. All right, we're at 40. Look, it's Connor. I didn't know
Hey, good
Connor was still
afternoon.
going to grace us with his presence now that he's moved up in the world.
Hey,
Connor.
I'm still around.
Glad you are. Couple more minutes. We will get this thing showing the road.
I see another Ron Knezovich on the call, so don't let them be a co-host. That's someone using my link.
See?
Awkward.
Hasn't your IT folks warned you about sharing all this stuff and everybody impersonating you and stealing your identity?
Phishing attempt.
No, someone might attend my meetings for me. Oh no. They're
I
both.
am the real Ron Knezovich.
Stand up. Stand up.
That was a TV show from what, the 70s or something? 60s maybe?
Wait, Ron, is your last name Knezovich or Nezovich?
It's Knezovich, yeah.
Okay.
It's phonetically spelled.
Cool. All right. Well, the number of folks jumping on last minute has slowed a little bit, and we're at 2:04. So I guess we're gonna kick this thing off. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This session is being recorded. Also, please post your questions in the chat. We may unmute folks at the end of the session, so there's a more natural back and forth, but please do type your question in the chat, and then we can also sort of take who's first and who's second and all that. Also, you'll see in the chat, Chantha has posted something for you to put your name, organization, and email if you are interested in getting a license or registration for the replica platform that Ron Knezovich is going to be presenting on. So please do that. Also, I'll post after once this Nassim starts a link to where you would subscribe to the Regional Active Transportation Roundtable email list or the Safety Task Force list. Those are two separate lists. You can join both. So if you want to, at the end of the session, receive an email with the links to the presentation decks and the video, they go out via those two sort of community of practice groups. I'm Eric Meyer. I'm with the Atlanta Regional Commission. I'm the Active Transportation Program Lead here. Our mission is to foster thriving communities through collaborative, data-informed planning and investments, and today's session is a core part of that. This session was really sort of envisioned as a companion to the February 5th session on safety data and tools. So hopefully you were a part of that. Again, the next email I send out is going to have a video to that session if you were unable to participate. Part of the reason we're doing these two sessions is one, it's great information, and we noticed that a lot of our local government folks weren't registered with those platforms, but also ARC will be kicking off 3 interrelated active transportation plans this spring, a regional and South Metro bicycle network plans, plus a master plan for the Flint River. So we wanted to sort of lay some groundwork with this safety and active transportation technical data. Technical data is just part of the planning process, but it's pretty foundational for us at ARC. All right, Chantha, did I forget anything before we hand off to the rest of the group?
No, it looks like we're good to go. Yeah.
We'll also, just an FYI, we'll send out something, it'll be in the email. We will be doing, the next session won't be until April, and that will be City of Atlanta presenting on how they're working on implementing their Vision Zero safety action plan. So that should be interesting. A lot of folks have been doing plans or have recently adopted plans, but City of Atlanta is farther along in terms of having a plan. There's funding to implement some of it and sort of the things that are going well and sort of things to look out for when you're trying to get all that work done. All right. So first up today is Naseem Rizvananpur. She's ARC data analyst extraordinaire, and she's going to present on some of the data sets that she's been preparing here at ARC.
All right.
I'm gonna hand
Thank
it
you,
over
Eric.
to Nasim.
Thank you. All right. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Naseem Rezvanpour. I'm a data analyst at ARC. And over the past 3 years, I've worked in analyzing a wide range of transportation data set, including traffic, congestion, and any data set related to performance metrics. And recently, I've been focusing on active transportation data analysis and modeling, which is what I will be sharing with you today. Okay. So this presentation is a little bit different from what Ron will present, which is kind of focusing on the implementation in Replica. I will walk you through the data set we've analyzed and the dashboard we've created so far to support our active transportation effort. I will talk about the ARC's recent plan and strategic framework related to active transportation. And at ARC, we approach active transportation from both the network supply side and the demand travel behavior side. And we maintain a detailed bike trail inventory that forms the backbone of our network analysis. So I will show you that. On the demand side, we use activity-based model output to understand where pedestrian and bikers goes and where those trips are generated. So we created so many maps out of the ABM result, and I will walk you through those maps. And beyond the model data, we also incorporate the real data set, and those include ATSPM, Lime, Strava. And they are not in a dashboard format, but I will talk briefly about those as well. And finally, we are building our bike network model here at ARC, which integrates the infrastructure demand with performance metrics into system level evaluation tool. So I will talk about that as well. Before I start my presentation, I wanted to talk about our organizational goal, which is safe, healthy community and mobility, and also competitive economy. So at ARC, we make sure to reach these goals through collaborative data-informed planning and investment. One of the most important reasons we are kind of empowering our active transportation data effort is because of these three plans we are launching this spring with $3.5 million budget. I'm sure you've heard about that. The first one is the Regional Trail and Bicycle Facility Network Plan that covers 19 county MPO. The second is South Metro plan focused specifically on 6-county area that has historically seen fewer resources and fewer trails. And the last one is Flint River Trail Plan, which is our signature project to reconnect the Tri-Cities area to Beltline and other major regional assets. Our timeline for these studies is 18 to 24 months, and we are trying to develop practical implementation guidance that serves everyday cyclists and support growth that is sustainable and equitable. So now let's move on to talk about our existing and programmed inventory. Before I show the dashboard, I wanted to to show what we actually have on the ground today. Across the 19 county region, we currently have 770 miles of existing trail and additional 228 miles that already programmed. And we also have 26 miles of existing protected bicycle lanes. So what we really need is ability to explore this network dynamically by county, by corridor, by facility type, alongside other data set. So this is the reason that we created this in a dashboard format. I want to switch over to the dashboard and talk more about this inventory and walk you through that. Okay. This is so first of all, I hope you all have the link on the chat to access this dashboard while I'm presenting. You can go over and figure it out yourself and play with this dashboard. It is compatible with large size devices. So if you look into the dashboard where your phone, you may see widgets acting weird because it's right now currently it's it's compatible with laptops and big size devices. So this is the main landing page of the ARC Active Transportation Data Hub. The layout is intentionally structured around the same agenda we discussed. So we have the separate part for the network and also for the travel demand components here. And the left side, you see this navigation panel. And again, each section corresponds directly to a dataset outlined in today's agenda. And the main page briefly explained the purpose of the hub, which is integrating infrastructure inventory with modeled and observed demand to support our data-driven decision. So let's just click the network button. Okay. What you are seeing here is our full bike and trail inventory. It is updated in August 2025 with the help of one of our intern at ARC. We started by collecting the data directly from local jurisdiction across the region and consolidated everything into a single data platform, which is what you see visualized on this map. Programmed facilities, existing facilities are those in place currently. Programmed facilities are those that are added primarily from our TIP projects and other known initiatives such as Path 400. So that being said, we recognize that there are likely additional programmed projects that may not be captured yet. So we are bringing another intern to continue maintaining and updating this inventory. Let's just for now, you will see the layers here. Let's just turn off the programmed facility and let's just explain the existing facility. So after we compiled these data, the existing facility from other local jurisdiction, we started to kind of define a facility type. We define 5 separate facility type for this existing inventory. On the right side, you will see all those facility types with the explanation and with the associated photos. So those facility types are protected bike lane, which is a lane physically separated from the traffic by barriers, such as curbs, board, concrete buffers, unprotected bike lane, which we call conventional bike lane, that are designated by pavement and paints. A multi-use trail greenway that is a shared use path. It's physically and completely separated from the roadway. And multi-use trail side path, which is a shared use path adjacent to the roadway, but separated from traffic by grass or grade difference. And finally, a park trail that is located within a park, primarily intended for recreational use. At the left side, you will see all the filtration that enables you to filter based on the facility type and the county name based on your specific county. So if I just activate the filter for existing facility, and if I just filter it by protected bike lane, you will see those protected bike lane in the map. And again, you can also filter based on the county. Let's, for example, choose the DeKalb County. And then here on the table at the bottom left, you will see other associated information that our intern worked. For example, the name of the facility, if it's a one-way or two-way, if there is a buffer, and the barrier material, if there is any barrier. So you will see all those great information for each one of those existing facilities. And also these information is for programmed facilities as well. Currently, we turned off programmed facilities. So you will see the programmed facility in a red color, and these two filters work with programmed facility. So this is the same for the existing facility. Okay, if I go back to
Christine, can I just mention while we're looking at this, we will be having a new intern start with us in a couple months who will be updating the inventory again this year. So if you go to this resource and you see something that's missing or something that's there that you don't think should be there, or you think we've categorized it incorrectly, please just send me an email. And then when that new intern starts up, we'll try to make those corrections in this year's update. Thanks, Nassim.
Yes, thank you. Okay, going back, so this was the inventory. This was the network and supply part. Let's talk about the demand part. So now that we looked at the supply part, as I mentioned, then next question would be, where does our demand data come from? At ARC, our official regional travel model is activity-based model. It's a microscopic demand model, meaning it represents the daily activity and travel decisions of individual people, not the average trip between zones, like first step model. Each person in the model, in this activity-based model, makes discrete decisions throughout the day, such as whether to travel, where to go, what time to depart, and which mode to use. And the whole model is built on what we call synthetic population. And the synthetic population is not a direct copy of the residents, but it statistically represents the actual population of 21 county region. So this synthetic population, it's generated from the demographic data and survey data, such as household travel survey. Also, I wanted to specifically mention where we get those demand data in our ABM process. Unlike traditional four-step model, you see here that estimates the trips in an aggregated zone format. ABM simulate travel behavior at the individual level, as I mentioned earlier. So during the modeling process, each synthetic person is asked, do I travel today? How many tours do I take? For what purpose? Where do I go? What mode do I use? What time do I travel? And ABM recreates those daily behavior of this population in a simulated environment. So now, focusing on the demand part, demand comes from the activity pattern model and decision choice and mode choice. So after these three steps, the whole demand data set and the trip table is generated in ABM. After the activity pattern model, the model determines who travel, how many tours. And then after destination choice, it determines origin and destination in a TAZ format. And this is where the OD pair form. And then after the mode choice, the model determines whether the trip is auto, transit, walk, or bike. And this is the exact step where the demand is finalized. And after all of these part, we now have origin TAZ, destination TAZ, mode, departure time, purpose. And these are the outputs that we use to create those maps that I will be showing you in the dashboard in a second. I also wanted to talk briefly about the TAZ. Our ABM operates on 5,922 traffic analysis zone, and it's gonna get updated soon to close to 10,000 TAZs. So these TAZs are the basic geographic building blocks of our travel demand model. They are smaller than counties, often smaller than tracts, but unlike the census tracts, they are specifically designed for transportation analysis. But we should keep in mind that TAZs, they aren't just for demographic purposes, but they reflect the roadway network, land use pattern, and also travel behavior. So every household and every person in synthetic population in ABM, it's assigned to a TAZ. So when the model generates a trip, whether it's walking, biking, transit, or driving, it's recorded as a movement from one TAZ to another. Okay, I now will switch to dashboard again. Okay, and let's go to the first one, demand, pedestrian, and bikers, origin, destination. Okay. What you are seeing here, as I mentioned, is IBM generated walking OD map. You will also see the same map generated for bikers. So let's start with the walk, origin, and destination. The darker color in the origin layer represents the zone with higher number of pedestrian trips. So we enabled a swipe, and you can swipe between origin and destination trip maps. So the blue is destination, and the red is origin. Similar to the origin, the darker color in the destination map, it shows where more pedestrian trip are ending. So there are several filters here. If I toggle the first filter for the origin map, it just keeps all those origin zones that have higher pedestrian trips. And you will see the strong correlation between higher pedestrian activity and the areas that are, for example, downtown, that are mixed use, universities, major attraction sites. And it is the same for destination as well. So this filter acts the same for destination. So same to our inventory. You can also filter based on the county you are interested to see all the walking trips originated from the TAC, and it's the same for the destination as well. What else here? I guess I mentioned that. Let's go and see the bike map. This is the same trip data set for bike origin and destination. For the bike map, I brought our program and existing facility as well. I merged those two facilities together, and if you turn on the layer, you're able to see the correlation between the facilities and the trip numbers that's happening, the bike trip numbers that's happening in our region. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the visualization of origin and destination maps in a hexagon format rather than TAZ format. So I want to turn on those layers, and you are able to see these trip maps in a hexagon format. It's the same for... So why we did that? First of all, it is hexagon resolution 8. And in converting the TAZ, the trips from TAZ to hexagon, we use uniform distribution approach. So it means that trips evenly and spatially allocated across TAZ that intersecting each hexagon. Why we did that? Because we wanted to compare our model result with Strava data. And Strava data provide their origin and destination map in a hexagon format, in hexagon resolution 8. So we did that. And I would say it doesn't reflect true trip because, again, we use uniform distribution approach. It is not weighted, the land use, or it's not weighted based on the land use or density. So it's not precise, but it's a way for us, again, to compare data set, a real-time data set, and model results. Okay, and another thing, I guess I wanted to mention, if I go back to the TAZ format, I wanted to mention the classification for symbology. The important thing here is to notice that for the pedestrian and bicycle, because they are 1% or less than 1% of the whole trip that are being created in ABM. And because of that, the data is highly skewed. So more TACs relatively have low number of pedestrian and bike trip. I just so because of this skewed distribution, I didn't use equal interval classification, and I use manual interval to kind of visualize the map in a better format. The next data set we provided is pedestrian propensity and geometric mean, pedestrian geometric. So for this one, okay, first pedestrian propensity. Let's talk about propensity map. So I showed you the origin destination map, but unlike the origin destination map we just saw, which shows the actual simulated trip number, this map represents the potential for pedestrian activity. What is important here is the propensity map is grounded in our ABM input variables rather than output data. So origin destination is one of our ABM output data, but we started to create pedestrian propensity from ABM input data set that are household, employment, and intersection. Why household? Because more people living in the area means more potential for pedestrian. Employment, again, it attracts the job, attracts daytime for traffic, and intersection, denser street network support more walkability. Each one of those variables, they were normalized to make them comparable. And then we continue to generate a pedestrian propensity index for each TAC to be able to kind of compare it with the OD map that we have. So this map, I wanted to emphasize that this map is not showing trip, but it's showing where the physical and demographic conditions support walking. It is the potential. It shows the potential to attract pedestrian, and it is only generated for pedestrian. So if I swipe the tool, this map is the previous map, the OD map that you've already seen. So if I just swipe it several times, you will see differences between the OD and the propensity map we generated. One of the obvious differences is the airport that I wanted to zoom. Basically, you see airport gets lots of pedestrian OD trips, but in the pedestrian propensity, the index is lower. So it is because airport is generating so many walking trips because it's a major activity center, but there is no household here. There is no street network characteristics over there. So this is why it scores lower in our pedestrian map. And we can conclude that high demand doesn't always equal high walkability. And now let's go to pedestrian geometric mean. We wanted to dive deeper into the variables we used. So this map you see is pedestrian geometric mean. This introduced more of a balanced metric. So the propensity map combined household, employment, intersection to show overall walking potential. The geometric mean goes one step further and it measures balance. Again, we use the same variables for creating the pedestrian geometric map, household employment intersection. And then these variables was log normalized and scale because geometric mean penalize imbalance. So the lighter color you see here, the pink color, they have a higher geometric mean, meaning that those TAZs have a balance between all those three variables, household, employment, and intersection. And a lower geometric mean means that there is imbalance between those variables. So if I zoom in to the downtown area, you see that downtown area has less pedestrian geometric mean because well, we know why, because there are lots of offices, but they lack household. They have intersection and offices, but they lack household. So another map we created based off of geometric mean is this map. This map is just shows us the outlier of the geometric mean. So we just kind of decided to show what are the outliers on the TAZs that we have lowest geometric mean. And for example, in some of the downtown area, you will see that there is imbalance between employment and household, and the employment here are the outlier. It doesn't show that it is highest or lower. It just shows that this variable is outlier here in this TAZ. So these are just for us to deeply understand what's going on in a TAZ level. Okay, I think I mentioned everything. Oh, and this filtration, it's just filters those areas with high or low geometric mean. I think I explained everything here, and then let's go to our last demand data, which is active mode and origin and destination. Okay, so this map shows intrazonal trips. Now we move from zonal demand to actual movement patterns. We wanted to understand where active mode trip happening in our region, including walking, biking, and transit. And the first layer here is what we created, and we call it intrazonal, meaning the trips that both starts and end within the same TAZ. Again, here the darker color represent higher number of intrazonal trips. So when you see a darker TAZ, it means more active trips are staying within the same geographic unit. There is another layer for here. Actually, there is a filtration for that, and I want to just keep the zones, the TAZs with higher intrazonal origin destination trip, and then turn on our OD links. So what we see is something a little bit different. And now we visualize aggregated active mode flows, which are under 3 miles. So all of these links that you see, they are the aggregated trips, including walking, biking, and transit, that are under 3 miles between TAZs. And the thickness that you see here reflects higher trip volumes. You have the ability to filter those high frequency OD trips only, and then you will see where those active mode trips happens between TAZs that are under 3 miles. So you also have the ability to filter based on the county. So if I put the origin county as let's say, Fulton, and the destination county. The county should be close because these are under 3 miles. So I will choose the destination Cobb County as my destination county. And if I activate the filter, actually you see some trips between Fulton and Cobb counties on the edges of the county. And if I put the same county, it just shows all those active trips inside Fulton counties. Other filters here is also you can filter only bike trip. It's not only bike trip, but because it is aggregated OD links, these are the trips that have bike trips. It may have walk or transit trips as well. But if I just toggle on all these filtration, these links are all the links that have all bike, walk, and transit trips. But if you want to see just specific trip, so these are all the walk trips. They may have transit or bike, but they have walk trip for sure. So I guess this was the whole dashboard that I wanted to talk about. We are adding other analysis and other data set to this dashboard. So other data set that I wanted to talk. Okay. So we've seen model data set and our existing inventory. I wanted to briefly show an example of the real-time data set that we have analyzed so far to compare with our model result. So this is pedestrian signal actuation data. We received these data from GDOT. So the data set reflects the actual observed behavior, but it is limited to signalized location. In the map, you see the intersection with purple and pink have the highest level of pedestrian push-button activity. So this is one of the real data set that is independent and help us kind of validate our model pattern. Another real-time data is shared micromobility Lime scooter and e-bike trips. So it is limited again to the city of Atlanta. It is for 2024 data. We received the data in a point format, and then we kind of aggregated in a TAZ format to kind of see that where micromobility is being used today in our region. And another real-time data is Strava data that I'm sure most of you have seen and work with Strava data. Currently, Strava provide the bike data for 5 core county, and this is for 5 core county origin data in a hexagon format. So this is another real data set that we are using it for to kind of compare with our model result. And finally, after all these data sets and data analysis, I just wanted to talk briefly about our bike network model. When you look at our inventory map, you saw that the network is unevenly distributed throughout our county. Some area showing strong clustering and connectivity, especially within the city of Atlanta and within our core county, but other areas remain isolated, separated, and fragmented. And there is a gap between these facilities. So this raised an important question for us that are we building in the areas with the highest current demand? Are we investing where the latent demand exists? And all those questions made us to kind of think about to do the bike modeling for the whole region. So this is the first time ever that we started this effort to actually create the bike network for the whole region, NPO region, 21 county, and then apply the demand and then assign those demand to our network that we are creating right now, and then get the volume data set and get the result out of that bike modeling platform. So the foundation of all of this is a detailed bicycle network that again we are updating our inventory. And the final goal of this modeling is kind of create a transparent tool that helps ARC and also local partners to evaluate where bike investment will have the greatest mobility impact. So this was my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Naseem. If you have a question, please type it in the chat and then we'll unmute you and go from there. Yeah, very interesting. Lots of information. We've been working on this for a long time. Yes, exactly. Why is my video off? There we go. All right. Do we have any questions down there? We did put some links to that new hub that Naseem just showed, and also a link to Strava Metro if you haven't joined that. There will be a quiz on all of Naseem's data, decisions and attribute tables and all that. So no, there won't. Okay. Without further ado, unless Chantha, you're seeing something I'm not, I guess we can go to Ron. We're all good. Ron, do you want to share your deck straight from your computer?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Ron Knesevich, State Safety Engineering Manager at GDOT. And today I'm talking about telematic data GDOT has procured. We, in cooperation with ARC, talking about two platforms. Replica was kind of what I was asked to present on today. We had a little discussions, want to share with y'all ITER's Clear Guide as well, and some speeding insights there. So 3 takeaways for you all today. The first is GDOT, we collaborate with local municipalities, particularly ARC, to purchase telematic data, as well as location-based services data, or from vehicle probes as well. This is bought through the Eastern Transportation Coalition. They have a data marketplace. That's a marketplace that's a cooperation with various state entities. They do various validation studies there. That's where we buy a lot of this big data. This data is also available to government agencies in Georgia, or extensions of staff or consultants as well. Most of this we have unlimited licenses for, or soon will have unlimited licenses for. On Replica, we have pedestrian and bicycle data available in various formats, whether it's segment level analysis and origins and destination data. Then on Iteris, we have travel speed and speeding data available as well, and commonly used for safety or operational analysis. I'll say this in relation to the replica data and the origin destinations. There's a little bit of overlap between Naseem's presentation and mine. If you have access to what Naseem has presented, I recommend y'all use that. They're bringing in more data insights here, but this goes outside of the ARC region as well. And if you're looking for some flexibility to do your own type of analysis, you can leverage this platform for that too. So I mentioned that we work together with ARC to purchase data for the entire state. So GDOT actually has a joint data acquisition or purchasing committee. You'll see various different entities, different offices at GDOT, as well as ARC, as well as collaboration with other entities to vote and purchase on this data. While these offices have various different use cases for this, I'm really just honing in on the safety use cases and the active transportation use cases today. There's a lot more people across the agency are using. You might even see glimpses of other use cases on the slides today that I won't be able to speak to fully. It's pretty endless. But the reason we put this data purchasing committee together was trying to enhance and standardize the data analytics capabilities on all of the projects, eliminating unnecessary duplication of data across different analysis, and lower costs overall from data purchasing. So if you're purchasing data yourselves, we really don't want you to do that. We want you to use the data, try to work with us on the data acquisition committee and leverage that data that we're purchasing statewide. We get a much better deal from that. So to understand why this committee was formed, it started with just an example here. We had a project on I-85. They needed that telemagnetic data to get our origins and destinations for it as the widening project was going on. And we had a 400 project, a little bit of overlap in the data. We had to do, as part of that specific PI, we had to go repurchase data again. And we had one on 75. Well, one more time, as part of that PI, data had to be purchased again. And we had a project on 285. Data had already been purchased on these 3 separate projects for that region related to origin destinations and telematic data, but couldn't be used for this project because that data purchasing was tied to those specific PIs, and the way the contracting worked, couldn't use it for multiple. So we said, well, we need to do something different, and thus the data purchasing committee was formed. But as that data purchasing committee was formed, we started buying more different types of data that wouldn't really relate to these larger, massive projects. Now we can use this big data on all project types, small, large, even in the screening level, before a project's even programmed. So we buy a variety of different data, mostly focusing today on travel time and speed and waypoint data, as well as some ped bike origin destination data. But really honing more, that's where we're buying that waypoint data. The first platform to discuss today is Replica. On that Replica platform, there are a variety of different modules. It can get overwhelming to understand how much data is in there. So I'll just be going through each of the modules today, and or each of the ones that I use today, and so you can navigate the platform just a little bit easier to, I guess, identify some of the insights that you might be interested in more. Before you work on any of the modules, all applications, the first step is selecting your geography. Log Replica gives you access to the Southeast as well. So make sure you're just using that Georgia data. If you're using this through the GDOT contract in particular, we're not really allowed to be using other state data. And you can download data on the county level all the way down to 0.04 square mile hexagons. So various different resolutions, and this applies to all the various modules. The first one I'm discussing, and this is one we'll leverage for some high-level analysis, is just network link volumes. Simply, this is a data downloader where you can select your region, select your season, what typical day or weekend where you want to download that data, the geographic area. You can make your custom geographic areas too. If you're, say, a neighborhood planning unit and you need a custom geography around your neighborhood, what minimum trip count you want to expect for bike and ped trips. I typically lower this from 500 down a bit more. what types of roadways you want to install, the purpose of those trips. So is it a work or recreational trip, the mode of those trips, and you want to break that download down, whether it's by trip distance, trip mode, trip purpose, hour, etc. Just a little visual of what that looks like. You can open it up on Google Earth or any shapefile or spatial format. Had to zoom in. It gets a little blurry here when you download it, but you can see number of walking and biking trips. This is that synthetic population data, though, so take all these numbers with a grain of salt. Planning level data, not really intended for project prioritization, not to be used as supplements for count data when you're justifying, say, a ped crossing. Next module is a fairly simple one. It's the ADT Explorer. Fairly straightforward. You go into that ADT Explorer and it shows the ADTs on all of the roadways. Now, GDOT has a pretty strong ADT database already that the Office of Transportation Data focuses on collecting and updating every year, but really on those side streets, low volume side streets or even driveways in and out of a gas station, say, if you want to do some type of analysis to compare which side of the road has more volume turning from it, that can be really helpful. That GDOT data from TDOT isn't going to get that granular onto driveways, small side streets. It's really just some of the larger roadways where we have had tube count collections in the past. I used this data for a protected bikeway analysis, trying to decide what side of the road to put a cycle track on, just seeing which sides have less volume coming from those side streets. Next module is the origins and destinations. Naseem showed a lot of this kind of data here. Replica has a module to visualize and do this data analysis themselves. So in the origin destinations, it takes that location-based services data as well as that synthetic population and gives you kind of the trip counts in each of those zones. You can do that various different size segments. We're showing origins here of 0.04 miles and destinations of 0.3 miles square mile hexagons as well. So a lot of different ways to break that data up. Set up that OD analysis. We'll first go to that dashboard, select how you want to break down the group. All sorts of options: 100 square mile, 2 square mile, 0.3, 0.4. And you can add a variety of filters. That trip mode is one of those key filters, but if you want to do origins and destinations by, say, different income levels, different ethnicities, private automobiles, types of trip purpose, all that is available to do and visualize. And this one, just kind of showing an example, the bike filters applied. We filtered to a weekday, kind of your typical Thursday is this one. Weekend's also an option too. Hexagon resolution for origin was 0.04 and destination was 0.3. I'm not sure why you would do that. I just want to show you have the flexibility to do different origin and destination hexagon sizes. And then you'll see those most common origin destinations visualized based on the shading here. And all this data can be downloaded. If you have a model and you want to use this just as a component to it, that can be leveraged. And that is actually what we did in the Rural Active Transportation Plan. I'm familiar with the Rural Active Transportation Plan. A key component of it was looking to establish where our new state bike routes are going to be. So you're seeing the origin and destinations for long distance trips here. That's really where those long distance trips for interconnectivity between cities we want to leverage. You'll see that breakdown of walking and biking trip count and the length of some of those trips as well. Now we did the same for shorter trips in some of our priority areas for more just city level improvements that might not necessarily be a state bike route as well. But this was just one component of the state bike route analysis. As well, much more data was incorporated into it. And then we took that OD data, you can see it displayed here in the kind of a hexagon format as well. So really seeing our highest locations where we know we should try to reroute some of our state bike routes to, maybe we're missing, and create little spurs of those state bike routes to connect interconnectivity across the state. So that's it for origin destinations. Now moving on to the trends dashboard. On this dashboard, you can see trends over a custom time frame and see kind of those macro level stats over a period of time. So seeing how bike and pedestrian trips are changing across different times. So change in mode walking. So where in the city has more walking trips been occurring, where has less been occurring, or insignificant change. You can see mode splits across that region. And again, all regions are very customizable. It doesn't have to be a city. It could be your own custom one that you draw with polylines. And then you can just also visualize based on different census tracts, or also looking at hexagons where you have your most walking and biking trips in the city. Next module is the active transportation analysis module. This one's pretty interesting to if you're doing a new ped bike project and want to gauge latent demand. So on this, you'll see one analysis I did was on 14th Street, where we recently programmed a cycle track there. You'll select that corridor, select the type of bikeway or sidewalk project, trail project, etc., that you're anticipating to program. And based on the population density and that synthetic population that they're creating, it will give you the number of expected walking and biking trips that will occur and how many will be impacted as well. Different data points here on CO2 saved. Well, so really it's taking into account a lot of that latent demand, so those shorter trips as well, to gauge what will happen with this project type. And it'll also tell you bike trips on the existing corridor as well as the surrounding corridor, trying to gauge some forecast. Now, again, take these numbers with a grain of salt. There is no magic wand, I guess, to predict bike trips on the corridor, but often we don't have those data sets available at all. I can't tell you how many times we'll see trail projects and we say, well, how wide should it be? How many people are we expecting? And there just isn't really an answer to that. So this is at least a starting point. And then a pretty cool module here is vehicle safety event data. It's called the Safe Streets Planner. What this allows you to do is rank roadways. Here I'm filtered to Athens, Georgia, and we're ranking roadways by a risk score based on phone handling in this specific time. So if you've used your phone while you're driving, Replica might have your information and be putting that event on a dashboard for us to visualize. So if you're trying to do some sort of educational campaigns related to phone handling, that can get displayed here. Suspected collisions as well. So this is data from insurance companies that's being sold to Replica and then sold to us, that we're able to visualize and rank corridors based on this information. So if you want harsh braking, and you can't see the exact harsh braking movements, they just give you a risk score tied to it as well. Then there's also speeding events as well. I'm going to stray away from the speeding analysis here. We typically do that with some of our other platforms that have a little bit of a larger sample size of vehicle probe data for speeding. Nevertheless, Replica does give us a lot of different speeding related data. And all this data can be downloaded as well if you want to leverage it in, say, a safety performance function or or crash prediction model as just one component of the analysis. You can dial in on a specific corridor and see where on that corridor is that risk the most. Here I'm just looking at all types of high risk of these event data. I really do prefer to focus in on just one at a time. I feel like the countermeasures for each event are very, very different. But you'll see here the breakdown of the various events along this corridor and where you have the highest. And this is actually Memorial Drive. You'll see the speeding and event data there. Then we have transit data. I'm going to talk about the transit stop level counts. Now, if you have a good relationship with MARTA, I would say there's probably not a reason to utilize this dashboard. But if you're trying to get data for another region for some reason, you can look at all bus route data information is fed into this platform. And you can look at filtering to Savannah, since I think most of us have access to that MARTA data. And MARTA is going to be a little more updated since they're doing their network rerouting and changing some of those bus stop locations. So selecting the weekday, and you can see boardings and alightings for each of those bus stops. We use bus data a lot in the safety program for pedestrian crash prediction models, particularly for those mid-block crossings. It's a really good surrogate for mid-block crossing counts. There are other transit platforms. Unfortunately, I have not used these platforms before, so I can't speak to them much, but if you're a transit planner, I encourage you to take a look. I am not a transit planner, unfortunately, so there's just several other ones, Transit Demand and Equity Scores, Transit First Last Mile Explorer, and Transit Stop Generator. I don't even know what that word is, but if you're a transit planner, I encourage you to take a look at these and see if there are some use cases. I would love to hear about them. Then we have a custom analysis feature. This one is, you scroll the bottom of Replica and you press new study, and this is pretty much all the various platforms we talked about. You can access through this some sort of capabilities and download that data. So what you're seeing here is me adding a filter based on trip distance, less than 3 miles, to identify roadways with latent demand for bicycle and pedestrian activity. Now, we saw that on the active transportation module, where it was included in there, but there wasn't really a good visual at a network level for that. So on this new study here, you'll just see kind of a ranking of roadways where you'll see the most amount of trips with less than 3 miles. And you can change that 3 miles to 2 miles or 1 mile if you want to look for walking and biking trips too. This is a data set I've asked the Rural Active Transportation Plan team to incorporate into our Transportation Alternative Project packages as we start trying to transition those, so we can really see, well, how many people will use those facilities and give us a little bit of a score and understanding priority. That's it for all the replica modules that at least I'm aware of. There is a lot more on the platform that you can do. Lots of it isn't safety related too. Some of it's operational related. I've stayed in that safety realm though, on the replica platform. But now moving on to Itiris, or the Clear Mobility Platform, another type of data set that we have readily available for y'all to use. And here there's 2 different modules, roadway and safety. We actually helped them build that safety module to really assess speeding. There's various others, though, if you want to look for the top bottlenecks in the state for operational improvements. This is a great platform to do that too. And as you'll see, there's a data downloader for this as well. And we've actually leveraged that, and you may have seen last week, this data is now on the Numetric platform to see speeding information. So on this platform, you can rank roadways by percent of vehicles speeding over the speed limit. you have different sliding bars here. So obviously the interstates, they tend to be 55, 60 miles an hour. You're going to see a lot of people going over the speed limit there. And then you'll see this is all just kind of a sliding window analysis, and the rankings plot up here. And this can be changed for percent of people going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, 15, etc. Then observing top speeds is possible as well. If you want to look at 85th percentile speed, that's kind of the most common engineering metric used. But I tend to try to look at 95th, 90 as well, just trying to gauge what are those top speeders doing? Do we have some sort of speeding problem on the corridor? Looking here, just kind of gauging what that speed is for the 95th percentile speeders here. You can also filter to different times of day using this platform as well. So if you want to get rid of your peak hours, those are really going to skew the day of most of the traffic volume. People can't really speed during your peak hours on more congested corridors. So here we're filtering tonight. For each individual corridor, you can do a segment level analysis and get some insights across days of the week or time of day. Here we're showing 85th percentile speed and what the maximum 85th percentile speed was, the minimum 85th percentile speed was, and the average 85th percentile speed over a time period and across the various hours of the day. You'll see different hours of the day, you have different 85th percentile speeds. That value is never a singular value as it's often depicted in engineering studies. You'll see the call out here to Here. Here Maps is a data platform. We buy the raw data from them. Itiris and Ritis, a very similar platform, both ingest that speed data as well. So this is the data source. Itiris is the visualization platform. You can also do before-after speed studies on this as well. We'll commonly do this for our roadway reconfiguration projects to see how speeding has changed post-construction. And you'll be able to see the change in 85th or 75th or 95th percentile speeds and what's happened there. So here we're looking at 2022 data compared to 2023 data along various corridors and seeing where is it lowered, where is it stayed around the same, and where is it increased. You can also do that kind of analysis more at the macro level scale. We did one for around the COVID-19 pandemic and trying to gauge, well, what happened to speeders in this time? We all had a lot of hypotheses of are people speeding before COVID and now. So back in 2022, we said, are people still speeding? And we looked at data from 2019 to 2022 to see what roadways where we have people going increases in vehicular speeds, speeding over 10 miles an hour in the speed limit. You'll see a lot of red on that graph. So a lot more people speeding after the COVID-19 pandemic than they were prior. I haven't taken a look at this kind of macro level view in a while, but it is my understanding that these values have kind of gone back down a bit since 2022. So tying it back together with those three takeaways at the beginning, we collaborate with ARC and various local municipalities to buy telematic data, whether that's location-based services, vehicle probes, and we buy that through the Eastern Transportation Coalition's data marketplace. And that's available for probably everyone on this call, I would think, to leverage any government agency or any consultants that have contracts with those government agencies. Pedestrian and bicycle the data is available. That can be found on the Replica platform and visualized in a lot of different formats. And then we have travel speed and speeding data available on that Itiris platform, as well as the Numetric platform. We now have some data there, continuing to put more on, and various other platforms that can be used for safety or operational analysis. So thanks very much, guys, and I'm going to take any questions you have now.
Thank you, Ron. So it was definitely a fire hose of technical data for y'all today. I'm sure you'll be rewatching this video over and over again. So thank you for everybody participating. If you have some questions, I guess raise your hand and we can try to unmute you and we can have some conversation before we finish up today. Anybody? Again, this should be very helpful information, this and the safety stuff we talked about a couple weeks ago for your comprehensive transportation plans or even comp plans, livable center initiative plans or plans you're just doing with local dollars, project prioritization, conversations you may be having with bond issues or SPLOST or T-SPLOST conversations. So we hope to see plenty of data-driven decisions out there. And if we can be of assistance, that's why we're here. We'd love to help. So again, any questions out there? Chantha, are you seeing anything? Wow.
No, but it was a lot of information, so
It
I get
was.
it, you guys.
Regan, I bumped into you earlier, like a week or so ago. Do you want to, you guys worked on the rural active transportation plan. Any aspects of this, since it was so much that you want to sort of point out or highlight that are useful to the planner types probably on the call?
Yeah, I mean, we've leveraged Replica quite a bit, working with Ron for that effort. The OD data in particular is something we were actually talking about on a call yesterday that we've built in. And we've built a pretty awesome data viewer for that effort. And we're working on converting it to like a public consuming version. So as soon as we have that available, we'll be happy to share about that with this group for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks. Nassim had a slide with pedestrian actuations. Those were just GDOT owned and operated signals. So there are a number of signals and like with your Mariettas, Cobbs, Sandy Springs, and other places. So we had gaps. So we'd love to chat with some of those local governments and see if we can fill in those gaps and get a fuller picture of where folks are at least pressing the actuation button. I think we have different considerations in your deeply urban areas like Midtown, downtown, and Decatur, where it's just sort of a built-in phase, and folks might just be standing and waiting for the phase to happen, and not hitting the actuation button. So things to ponder in that regard. All right. Well, again, thanks for everybody joining, and we hope to see you in April when we meet up in person at the ARC to hear City of Atlanta talk about their implementation of their Vision Zero Safety Action Plan. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Nassim. Thanks, Chantha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, everybody. All right.